Let's take a look at how these imitations of the pale morning dun float. Now this is the Quigley cripple, and it floats with its hiney down like that. Usually a little deeper than that. Just takes a little bit for it to get, yeah, more like that. And it's the hackles and the hair that keep it floating. Now, get out of here. Here's the Morris emerger. And that also is an emerger, and that got to get it used to the water there. That depends on this chunk of hair butts, which is really the most buoyant part of this fly, and the wing and the dubbing and the thorax to hold everything up, and then the rear end sinks. It's supposed to be a nymph still. It doesn't even have a shuck. It's just got a tail down there like a real nymph. And so that's how it floats. And you know, one of the theories I've heard, and I believe it, is that trout are more likely to come up for an emerger because they see it from a good distance away. And when a trout rises to a dry fly or an emerger or something at the surface, they start that process pretty early, because that's the most efficient way for them to do that. And they're trying to use less fuel than they're taking in, obviously. So when they see this under that mirrored underside of the water, they can start moving to it a lot sooner. They see it coming. And that's what the nymphs do anyway. When they're hatching, they come up and they escape their shucks, and for a while they're half nymph and half adult. So it actually is very, it's appropriate, it's imitative. But it also gives a fish a chance to see what's coming. And that, it's one thing to be on the water, it's another to be under the water, down in their world. And these emergers are. Now the comparadun is on the water, and that helps. I mean, every dry fly is on the water, but the comparadun, it lays its body down, so there's quite a bit of contact. It just doesn't hang down below where it's even easier to see. But that's the comparadun. And there are its split tails, just like the real insect. And then finally, you've got the traditional dry fly. In this case, it is the light Cahill. And that sits up on its toes and on its tail, so not much of it is underwater. Not much of it is really visible under that mirrored underside of the surface of the water. But, all that said, light Cahill works. I used it for years on Spring Creek trout and everything else, which are some of the toughest trout around, and it worked. So there you go. There's how those flies sit.